what's up everyone? GameDad here, and we are back with part 2 of my current SNES collection. So come with me as we check out what games are on the list today. Doom was released by Sculptured Software in 1995, and the Super Nintendo port is just okay at best. This definitely played better on PC, and there are better ports on other consoles. This one, even though, it is of this style from this time frame, I still felt that it looked pretty grainy, and it was kind of laggy in its overall gameplay. I don't really care for this version of it. Drakken was released by Kemco in 1991, and this is a 4-player RPG kind of game. It kind of reminds me of sort of like a Gauntlet Legends sort of game, but in a totally different graphical style, and in my opinion, nowhere near as fun. Earthworm Jim was released by Shiny Entertainment in 1994, and although the Genesis port is a lot of fun, Earthworm Jim 1 I think is better on the Super Nintendo. I think it's just more colorful. I think the audio is actually better on this one, which normally isn't the case with the Super Nintendo versus the Genesis, but overall this is a super fun game. It's wacky, and I even remember watching the cartoon as a kid. Up next, we got Earthworm Jim 2, released by Shiny Entertainment in 1995, and this one I didn't care for as much. I mean, the levels, I believe, are more fun, but graphically, I thought it was kind of a downgrade. Looks a little more grainy to me, but I am interested to see with the Intellivision Amico what the new Earthworm Jim game is going to look like, so that's something to look forward to in the future. And here we have a classic, FZero, released by Nintendo in 1991, and this is probably one of my top 5 games on this console. The game is just so much fun, and I remember spending endless hours with friends just jamming out and playing this game. I mean, that's really all there is to it. This game is amazing. If you haven't played it, you should definitely check it out. And here we have Family Feud, released by Imagineering in 1993, and it's exactly like you would expect. You're playing Family Feud on the Super Nintendo. And I was never a huge fan of the show, but I'm an even less of a fan of the actual game. It's really boring. I don't know how games like this ever sold. Up next is Final Fight, released by Capcom in 1991, and this is a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up. This game is awesome. I mean, everyone looks all totally juiced out and everything, but the game is just fantastic. And just all the different combos you can do, the different moves, going through beating up all the baddies, just an excellent game all around. And here we have Final Fight 2, released by Capcom in 1993, and this one is just a continuation, really, of the first one. As you can see, you're playing as a different character right here, way more muscles than any normal human would have, but, that kind of adds to the total meathead, gym rat kind of vibe that these games have, but it's just classic side-scrolling beat-em-up action. It's awesome. And here we have Flashback, The Quest for Identity, released by Delphine Software International in 1994. And I do have this game on a few other consoles, but what's weird about this game in particular is just the animation style. As you can see, they totally went cartoon 3D with it and really pushed this system to its limits. But overall, I mean, the game is cool. It's unique, and it's actually really fun platforming action. Up next is Frank Thomas's Big Hurt Baseball, released by Iguana Entertainment in 1995. And as you can see, for a sports game that's like this, the graphics are really nice. The interface, it's very easy to understand. And whenever it goes to an actual overhead, isometric field view, it's actually really easy to figure out what needs to happen next. So for a sports game, I actually like this one. And here we have GP1, released by Atlas in 1993. And this game reminds me of, I don't know, an early iteration of MotoGP on more modern day consoles. The game is fun, but it's very flat track, and it's a little too easy to control, I would say. It doesn't really have any kind of slide out effects or anything like that you would expect in a game like this. Up next is Gradius III, released by Konami in 1991, and this is arguably the best shoot-'em-up franchise that exists. The game is fantastic, and this one in particular, in my opinion, is the epitome of the franchise from this era. It's super easy to get into, yet it also provides difficulty later on in the game that just adds to the whole shoot 'em up value. I mean, you want to get into bullet hell type situations when you play these games. Up next, we have Joe and Mac, released by Data East in 1992. And this is just, classic goofy platforming action, kind of action adventure-y, but not really. It does have some unique kind of gameplay stuff. Like, instead of, killing the enemies when you jump on them like these pterodactyls, you can actually kind of fly on them. So, add some new mechanics in there. But overall, bright and colorful, and I don't know, it's okay. Now, here we have Judge Dredd, released by Probe Entertainment in 1995, and I do happen to be a big fan of this movie. I know not a lot of people are, but this game, I don't understand how it represents a movie at all, other than in name and maybe a little bit of graphical style. But overall, I mean, it's kind of like a beat 'em up, shoot 'em up crossover. You just go around and blast enemies. I mean, that's really it. Up next is The Jungle Book, released by Eurocom in 1994, and this game is just another one of those classic Disney games. I happen to like this one almost as much as I like, say, Aladdin or Lion King, though. The game is super fun, it's got really good platforming, it definitely has difficulty in some areas, but overall, it's just a fun, like, animated style game. I really enjoy it. Up next is Killer Instinct, released by Rare in 1995. And nowadays, this game kind of has a cult following to it. The games are okay, but one thing this game definitely had, and that it was notorious for, was insanely difficult combinations. Just the button presses you had to do anything, worthwhile in this game, it was just insanely difficult to master. I would much rather play Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Up next is Kirbys Avalanche, released by HAL Laboratory in 1995, and this is like a Tetris, like Puyo Puyo kind of game, and you're going through, and I don't know what these are supposed to be, if they're like little jelly beans or something like that. It's kind of what they look like to me, but you have to get 4 of them connected, and that will eliminate them. As you can see, you can make any kind of shape you want, as long as they all directly connect, and you just go against a computer or another player. Up next is Kirbys Dreamland 3, released by HAL Laboratory in 1997, and this is just a continuation of the Kirby franchise. In this game, you can take the powers and abilities of a lot more enemies, so that's pretty fun. But overall, I mean, if you've played one Kirby game, you've kind of played them all. They add new graphics and a few new mechanics here and there, but overall, I mean, if you like Kirby, you should like this game. Up next is Kyle Petty's No Fear Racing, released by Leland Interactive Media in 1995. And as you can see, the game graphically is just complete garbage. I mean, overall, the frame rate is super low, so the game looks choppy all the time. There's really nothing crazy that you have to do. I mean, the kind of angled effects that the cars give is kind of neat, but overall, I don't really see how you could lose this game. You just go and turn a little bit. Up next is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, released by Nintendo in 1992, and reviews for this game are a dime a dozen because it is such a fantastic game. This is the epitome of what an action-adventure RPG should be, and this was the mold for many games for many years. And the game overall, I mean, it's great. It's just, if you haven't played it, you have to. Here we have Lemmings, released by Psygnosis in 1992, and if you have ever played a Lemmings game, yep, that's what it is. I mean, this reminds me of just the old Lemmings on the PC or MS-DOS. I mean, it's exactly that. You're going around, I believe this is even the same starting level. You go, you add your ability to each Lemming, they do their thing, and you get them to the exit. That's pretty much it. I mean, Super Nintendo added some better graphics, I guess. Up next, we have Lester the Unlikely, released by Visual Concepts in 1994, and the overall gameplay of this game is okay. What is really stunning about this game, though, is the graphics and the animation. I mean, just look how detailed the character is. Look how detailed the animations are. I mean, the game is beautiful. I just wish that the storyline and gameplay were, a little better. Up next, we have The Lion King, released by Westwood Studios in 1994, and The Lion King is fun. It's a very gorgeous-looking game on the Super Nintendo, but I don't know whose idea the Stampede level was, but they should have been fired immediately. That level is total crap and makes this game insanely hard. There is no way a kid back then could have beat that level. I mean, I remember playing it as a kid, and I ended up rage-quitting this game every time. Up next is The Lord of the Rings Volume 1, released by Interplay Entertainment in 1994, and this one is a top-down RPG. It feels like it's trying to be kind of Final Fantasy-esque, but with, I don't know, more detailed graphics. It's kind of boring though. There's a lot of reading that you got to do and not much action going on, but essentially, I mean, that is the Lord of the Rings, right? Lots of reading, not much action. Last up for this video is The Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse, released by Capcom in 1992. And this is another one of those games. It is absolutely gorgeous on this console. It is your typical platformer, and you go through on your magical adventure, but I mean, the game is just, it's so much fun. It reminds me of old like Rescue Rangers style games. It's just super fun. So there you have it, everyone. That is everything that is in part 2 of my current SNES collection. Now, if you missed last week's video, be sure to check out the card above. And if you like today's video, please be sure to leave a comment down below. And while you're down there, please be sure to also hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell so you can alert every time that I have a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.